Hi, and welcome to She's the Boss, the show that's all about female founders and women doing amazing things in business. Now, if you enjoy the show, please like the channel, please subscribe, do all those sorts of things, because we have lots and lots of new episodes coming out all the time. But let me first introduce my amazing guest today. I have Cass Spies, and Cass is the co-founder of Twisted Healthy Treats. And I'm dying to hear all about her journey because I think from what I've heard and what I've seen, Twisted Healthy Streets Treats, God, I can't get it out properly, is the most amazing business that's selling everywhere. So welcome, Cass.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be on the show.
Oh, no, I'm dying to hear all about it. So can you tell everyone all about Twisted Healthy Treats and what you're doing right now with the business?
So Twisted Healthy Treats is our goal here at Twisted Healthy Treats is to be Australia's leading manufacturer of better-for-you frozen desserts. And
Yum.
We have products that are available in both national retailers, so Coles and Woolworths.
Wow.
We have an amazing product and a relationship with Costco down here in Australia. And a part of the business that's incredibly dear to my heart is that we are sold in 80% of school canteens across the country. And
brilliant.
So it's really, really exciting times for the business.
Wow, well, I can't wait to hear how you built all of this up. So let's start with, why did you set it up in the first place?
So, look, I've had the business for 10 years and we've been on a real journey in terms of the direction of the business. I have always wanted, I've always had that sort of entrepreneurial spirit. It came from my father. He's also always been in his own business. And 11 years ago, I had very young children and I was looking for a healthy frozen treat to share with my kids. And there was a real white space down here in Australia in that category. And so on the back of that sort of light bulb moment, the fact that I had done a degree in food technology and had always wanted my own business, we started Twisted.
I love it. I love it that so many mums start businesses on the back of just looking for something for their kids and going, I can't believe it's not available. Right, I'm going to make it available. So okay, well, how about I want to hear all about this journey. So can we start with Cass when she was in high school and what evolved from there and then how the business has evolved?
Sure. So I guess I always had sort of a predisposition to science and those sorts of subjects at school. And that was really where my interest lay. And so when I left school, I went and did a food technology degree in Sydney. And I guess I had always dreamt of being in the food industry, working in the food industry, working with people in and around food. And so I left university and got a job working for a company that produced the processed onion and lettuce for McDonald's. And I worked in that business.
That just seems so niche. I didn't even realise there were businesses that just do that, lettuce and onion.
Yeah. So I worked in that business for 12 months and then promptly packed my bags and moved to the UK, where I thought I would be for the next 2 years doing a working holiday visa.
Why the UK? Why the UK? What was the attraction there?
I guess just at that time, I mean, this is going back sort of 15 years now. It was just it was an easy place to work. And as an Australian, you could get a two-year working visa. And I had lots of friends who had already sort of made that journey. So my plan was to go to London for 2 years and kind of see the world, travel around, meet great people and work in the food industry. And what transpired was when I got to the UK, I realised that food factories were not in Greater London. They were, way out in the burbs. And the food industry in the UK does not pay very much money at all. And
most industries in the UK don't. I remember working in a pub at $3.03 an hour.
And it also happened to be right around the time of the .com. So there were some real opportunities in corporate spaces in the IT teams. And so that is the industry that I went into. And I guess sort of if we sort of fast forward through that journey, I ended up staying in the UK for 13 years working in I know. as a project manager in corporate.
Project management. So were you in the food industry or was it all technology?
No, it was in investment banking. Actually, it was I was a project manager responsible for global change projects that rolled out across the bank, across all of their.
Wow! So you got into that kind of inadvertently, by the sounds of it, and then became sort of specialist in that area.
I did, but look, I think. The skills I learned as a project manager, I think are subject agnostic, if you like. And I leverage those skills each and every day in the business that I'm in today.
Amazing. So 13 years in the UK. Did you meet a partner and get married over there? Did you? What kept you there for so long?
Well, I did. My husband, who I actually met at university, was also over there at the same time. And so we got married over there. We had my first child over there. And then decided that it was time to move home.
Right. And back to Melbourne? Oh, no, you're a Sydney girl anyway,
back to Sydney.
Right.
Yeah, back to Sydney, yep.
And what's that like? Because I know I was over in London for 7 years and moved back to Sydney and just felt really kind of like, God, this place is so clean and there's so much light and you can drive easily. And I remember wonderful. Sitting with my English husband in I can't remember, we were in near Birkenhead Point or something going, God, it meant instead of catching the tube, we can catch the ferry. Like it was just so great. Did you get that whole renewed love of Sydney when you got back?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think moving countries, there's always a period of adjustment. But look, Australia is an incredible place to live, and coupled with that, our families are here in Sydney. So that was an incredibly special part of the reason that we moved back.
Right. And so what happened when you got back?
So I got back, I got pregnant with my second child, and just after he was born, I was really asking myself a lot of life questions about what I was going to do with myself. I had obviously had a very high-pressured corporate career before, and I had sort of gone from that environment to being at home with two small children, and
challenging.
I did find that incredibly challenging. Mentally, I found that incredibly challenging. So, and I think that's right around the time that I had the idea for Twisted. But having said that, I've always been on the lookout for a business idea. I had always wanted to have my own business. So it was really just that the sort of stars aligned and everything came together at that point to allow me to go ahead and sort of sink my teeth into starting a company.
Amazing. And so why did you choose frozen yogurt?
Well, as I said, so I was looking for, I really did see a white space down here in the market. I've always been incredibly passionate about wellness, but, a wellness, in the context of a balanced life, and I wanted to be able to have a balanced life with my children. I'm not one of those mothers that says, you can never have sugar, you can never have a treat. I'm happy to share those sorts of experiences with my kids. I think that's a fun thing to do as a mother, but it's also really nice to be able to do it knowing that the product that you're giving them is absolutely the best quality that it can be. And so having seen that white space in the market, at the same time, there was a phenomenon in the US where frozen yogurt was sort of booming. And so taking that inspiration from what was happening in the US, coupled with what I'd seen down here as a gap in the market, the business was born. But initially the business was in the form of retail outlets. So we had shops.
Oh, really? Okay. So that idea of the frozen yogurt shops where you go and build your own. Right. Yep. Okay. Yep. So how did it develop from there? How many shops did you end up opening?
We had 5 company-owned stores. Okay. And so there was smoothie and frozen yogurt stores in Westfield shopping centres.
Okay.
Janine Alice, who founded Boost, has always been a bit of a, I just think she's an incredible businesswoman, and to try and emulate any of that sort of success that she has had in Boost was something that I thought I wanted to do. And I guess what sort of transpired over the next 6 years was that we had a portfolio of locations where some stores were making a tiny bit of money and some stores were losing a lot of money.
Right.
And I realised that no matter what I did, no matter what the amazing team around me did, that the future of the business was not in retail locations. And
Right,
so
okay.
between...
How was that though, when you come to that realization and kind of go, what are we doing, and how are you going to move on from there when you decide that, retail stores isn't the way to go?
I mean, look, if I was to think about that period of time personally, I would say it was a very dark time for me. I had young kids. I'd taken a big risk starting a business, and it felt like nothing I did, no matter how much of my heart and soul, how much of the heart and soul of the team around me we put into these businesses, it didn't make any difference. And so, there's a lot of learnings from that time in my life. I think it's important when things like that happen. In hindsight, I would say now it's important to make sure that you don't take that too personally as you're a failure because a business that you're working on or with is not working.
That's kind of almost exactly why I do these shows, because I think it's really important for women to realise that it doesn't all go smoothly and you don't become a wild success overnight. There are nearly always things that come along where you just think, oh, my God, the whole thing's just falling to pieces. What am I going to do?
And I had many moments like that.
Oh, you poor thing. So how did you decide that you would go into packaged goods?
So we did have a very tiny wholesale range that we had started when we had the stores. We always had tubs that people could take home, and we started to see that people were just coming in and they weren't even getting a smoothie, they weren't getting a yogurt, they were just walking in, grabbing the tubs and going. So we started a small wholesale range, and our first customer was a beautiful company here in New South Wales called Harris Farm Markets. They gave us an opportunity to put our product on the shelf, and it kind of grew from there. And then I think probably the other sort of main watershed moment for the business was when one of the mothers at my children's canteen asked if we would sell our cups to the school to sell to the school kids at lunch. And the success that we had with that was unlike any sort of success that we'd had to date with anything that we'd done. And it felt
how wonderful.
Yeah,
so it worked. You just kind of went, oh, my God, I didn't see this coming, but wow.
Yeah, and I almost didn't do it. So, as I said, I was at a very low point of my love for the business, and I almost didn't drop the yogurts that lunchtime. But look,
what made you decide that you'd give it a go?
I rang my dad, if I'm really honest, and he said, just drop them. What have you got to lose? So I dropped them to the...
I love your dad.
So I dropped
Good
them
advice.
to the school, and they sold out that lunch. And so I dropped some more the next day. They sold out again. And one of the gorgeous ladies said to me, you need to go to every school in Sydney and sell your product, which I did. So I got in the car and I went out to school canteens, and we got 70 school canteens direct. And from there, we got picked up by a distributor. So now we ship the product out on pallets.
Amazing.
And sold around the country.
So you literally went to 70 primary schools and signed them up.
Yeah.
And I guess on the one hand, that sounds so full on. On the other hand, you were getting that immediate feedback directly to yourself about whether it was working or not and what they loved about it.
I was, and look, I've used the analogy I think I use with in regards to school canteens is it felt like we'd been pushing on doors that wouldn't open for the sort of first 5 years of the business, and suddenly we pushed on this door in canteens and it just opened, and people were just loving the product and accepting the product and so excited to eat the product, which was the whole reason that I started the business, to bring joy to people. So that and all of a sudden we had this audience of customers that loved us and what we were doing.
And then, of course, once you've got the kids and they all love having it at school, then presumably they start saying to Mum, I really love that yogurt. Can we have it at home? Is that what made you start to go out to the retail stores? So how was it negotiating with big supermarkets? Because I used to work in packaging design myself, but certainly when I speak with people now, it's fraught with danger for a lot of people, that you'll get these massive orders, and what if you can't back it up, and people telling you, no, you have to have this flavour, we want the other, we don't like what you've got, we want different flavours. Did you have any of that happen?
Oh, every day. We still get people emailing us.
Right.
But look, I don't. If you're in food manufacturing, you don't really have a choice in this country other than to work with the two major national retailers. It's not like there isn't a tier in between small independent grocers that maybe have 20 or 30 stores and national retailers. It just doesn't exist because of our population. And so you have to deal with it.
Right. So how was it trying to even get that first appointment? How did you go when you went in to try and persuade? Which store did you choose first, and how did it go?
So we went. Woolworths were the first ones to give us an opportunity, and I mean, look, it's still incredibly nerve-wracking dealing with buyers because they have the future of your business in their hands, you live and die by your sales. They call it turns per week. So the number of each product you sell in each store is how you're judged. And so
pressure. That sounds enormous pressure.
It is. I mean, and they're cutthroat, and they need to be. Shelf space is a premium. They have a business to run, just like we have a business to run. But look, it's always very nerve-wracking when you are presenting to a buyer, and it should be nerve-wracking. It's a really important relationship to build, and so and it means a lot. It means a lot to me as a founder to be able to work with these guys to bring products to market. But I would say I feel very lucky that they are cutthroat and they drive a hard deal. But the buyers that I have come in contact with have actually been incredibly supportive over the years. So I think I've been quite fortunate there.
Fantastic. So, okay, so what was the decision even to go to Woolworths? What provoked that?
Because mums mainly were ringing our factory and saying, where can we buy these frozen yogurts that the kids are getting at school?
Right.
And so we came up with a retail pack based on that.
Okay, so they take it, which must have just been the most exciting and also nerve-wracking day when you deliver and they're going to be on shelf. How did that feel?
It feels amazing. I think it feels more amazing to me now when just really very recently it has started happening where people say, where do you work? What do you do? And I say, I've got a company called Twisted. And they go, oh, we buy Twisted. Oh, my kids eat Twisted at school. That has literally only started happening in probably the last 6 months, 6 to 12 months. And that for me is just such an incredible feeling that all the work my team have been doing around brand awareness and everything we do is sort of starting to come to fruition, and that feels really good.
Amazing. So during the process, have you had to do a capital raise? Have you had to sort of raise funds to manufacture?
Not yet, but that I'm working on that at the moment because we are staring down the barrel of some very big orders from the USA.
Wow, so, Cass, that's brilliant. Amazing.
That's really exciting. Really exciting. And so, the working capital challenges that all businesses that are growing have is something that I'm working through at the moment.
Amazing. Okay, so can you tell me along the journey, have there been, other than that time that you were talking about when you were in a really dark place, during the course of their business, have there been some really challenging moments where you've had to pivot or you've had to kind of go, look, that's not working, we're going to move in another direction?
Oh, there's been lots and lots of occasions like that. I mean, COVID is an obvious one. I mean, initially that was incredibly challenging for us because we supply school canteens and they closed pretty much overnight.
Oh God, yes, I didn't think about that. So what did you do?
That was pretty scary. Well, look, and I think right at the same time, our grocery ice cream treats initially it went down because everyone was hoarding toilet paper, pasta, peas. Everyone was filling their freezer with peas, not ice cream. So initially our grocery channel went down.
What did you do then? How did you feel when that was happening? Were you thinking, oh my God, is my business over?
Yeah, I was really scared. I was scared because I have, I have a team of people here that I feel a level of responsibility for because I don't, but the business pays their wages and they're important to me. And, I think that was sort of my main concern. How do I make sure that my team is safe and that this doesn't impact the team and that we can continue I can continue to make sure that I'm paying these guys. So that was then what happened right around that time was that we got our first order from the USA. And so we pivoted very quickly from domestic to export. Okay. And so what has transpired is that, in fact, I've doubled the size of my production team during this year. So
but tell me about the borders being closed and things. How's that affected you?
No, shipping's still fine. And I think because food is such a
staple.
And also because it's grocery, and no one in the US is going out, or restaurants are closed. So it's a very captive audience. It's a very fast moving channel at the moment. I think we had been working on landing the deal in the US for nearly 2 years, and I feel incredibly lucky and grateful that it came off when it did. And I know you make your own luck and all those things, but I still feel the timing was pretty much spot on.
Oh, that's amazing. So what's the strategy with the US? Going through schools again?
No, we as I mentioned at the beginning, we have a really great relationship with Costco warehouses down here in Australia, and we've had a product on the shelf with those guys since they opened down here about 4 years ago. My buyer here in Australia presented Twisted at a freezer meeting.
Oh, really?
Global meeting.
That's great.
Unbeknownst to us, we didn't know.
Amazing.
She presented Twisted and said, this is an amazing product. It sold really well. And she came back from her meeting in San Diego and rang me and said, this is 2.5 years ago, would you be interested in selling your product to the US? At which point I said yes, not having realised everything we had to do to be able to do that. We have to be approved by the Department of Ag, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of work that went into it.
Right.
But she is the reason that we have managed to break into the US. So we are now sold in Costco warehouses in 2 regions in the US, in the Chicago, Illinois region and Texas.
Amazing.
So that's been amazing.
So what about the UK? Are you planning on expanding to the UK? That's got to be on your radar.
The UK team has actually reached out. My sister still lives in the UK, so she's very, very keen for me to get some product over there.
I bet. So that's on the radar as well. So just have there been any other sort of big moments that you would share that are around just I guess kind of helping anyone who's watching to kind of understand that challenges come up, but that often they can be a great thing. Have you had challenges along the way with packaging or anything like that you've had to make changes or?
Yeah, we had a major challenge in 2019 with a product that we had on the shelf in Coles, and the quality of the product, it was being manufactured for us by somebody else, and the quality of the product was not
up to standard.
And we had incredibly bad feedback from customers about that.
So what do you do then? Did you actually go back to them and say, we're incredibly sorry? Did you ignore them? What do you do when you're getting that kind of thing?
No, we never ignore our customers. We are very focused on our customers. They're the reason we're in business. So we straight away offer a refund, explain the problems that we're having, and then we had to really sit down as a team and decide what we were going to do. So what we did end up doing was we went to Coles and we said we need to delete this product out of the market. It's causing too much brand damage. So it was a real.
Were you terrified about losing Coles on the back of that?
Very terrible. I mean, it's awful. It's. I mean, I just don't like. It's not in our vocabulary here at Twisted to say we can't deliver. And we were sitting in front of a buyer saying we can't deliver this product to you. We had spent months and months, thousands of dollars on the marketing. We had the formulation was. We'd spent, all the planets were aligned, but we just couldn't pull it together to get the product to work on the shelf. And so, but then to delete a product from the market is also expensive because you have to pay to have it removed from the shelf and then destroyed, and et cetera, et cetera. So that was incredibly frustrating, not just for me, but for the team, costly, and the brand damage. I think, I would say we're probably still recovering from some of that at the moment. So, but what it meant was that we went away, we invested in some equipment ourselves, and we developed a completely new arm of the business, which is a sugar-free ice cream arm that I had never thought of doing. And Coles gave us an opportunity to put 2 of those products on the shelf, and it's just been so well received by the market. So, to look at, instead of, sort of wallowing in the self-pity aspect of that, I think we wouldn't have the product that we have on the shelf today if we hadn't gone through those sort of challenging times.
Right. So if we have any women who are listening, which I'm sure we will have, who are interested in going into the food industry, have you got some tips that you would share with them?
Yes. I mean, I think because as a small manufacturer, you really are. It's hard work because you are up against, the big multinationals, and the big multinationals in Australia have been controlling what is and isn't available on the shelves of our supermarkets for many, many decades. And but I would say there is absolutely an opportunity for game-changing women, game-changing not just every woman, but game-changing entrepreneur with an idea in the food manufacturing space to bring a product to market. And if the product tastes amazing and still has all the attributes that, we hold dear to our hearts here at Twisted: clean labelling, always all natural, never put an ingredient, reduce the number of preservatives and additives in your products as much as you possibly can. I feel like that will really resonate with the Aussie supermarket buyers.
Oh, good. Well, that's sort of an incentive, because I know, certainly through my Handle Your Own PR business, I've worked with a lot of people who are in that food startup space, and it's very nerve-wracking for them. And especially, I guess, making that decision to jump, whether you're going to go, stay artisan and small, or whether you are going to actually have to deal with the supermarkets.
And that's a lifestyle choice as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of amazing brands out there who don't want the stress and pressure of dealing with the multinationals, and I also think that's okay. I think it's a very personal choice in terms of which direction you want to take your business, because once you do go down the path of, supplying national chains, there's a whole raft of other areas of the business that you need to get your head around that may not be particularly your area of passion.
So talk to me, maybe, I'm guessing one of them is marketing, because I know for the people that have sold into those big multinational and the big supermarket chains, that often it's like, we'll put it in, but you need to market the hell out of it to get those people there so that you get that turnover. So have you sort of had a steep learning curve in that area?
Yeah. I mean, we've tried everything. And we're in an interesting space because we're not, I don't want to be spending money on, a full, we can't afford a full outdoor advertising campaign or, buses in all major cities. Where the business just can't sustain that sort of spend just yet. So we've had to be very thrifty and smart about what we do with our marketing dollar. And I really can't say enough good things about targeted, focused social media engagement. I mean, that has really been a game changer for our sales. So really focusing in on what our customers are looking for and what they want to hear from brands, and really, making a connection to what we stand for here at Twisted.
And I guess because you're dealing with mums, and mums are so prevalent, particularly on Facebook and Instagram, you had that way of being able to get to those women and talk to them almost directly.
Yes, correct. And that really, organic reach on social media is not really a thing anymore. You have to put money behind it, but it's incredibly worthwhile way to increase your sales at the till, is what we've found.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, well, have you got any more little tips that you want to offer to other women? Just in terms of, I guess, resilience is one of the things that, I like to bang on about, which is just about, things will go wrong, just dust yourself off and keep going. If you believe in what you're doing, then it'll all sort of come right in the end. Are you sort of the same opinion?
Absolutely. I mean, that's probably the most important attribute of a leader, I would say, in business, is you need to be resilient. You need to be able to, you take the blows. You can experience all the feels around those blows, but you need to be able to get back up the next day and march forward and continue on.
And sometimes it feels very hard.
It does. Sometimes you just have to fake it till you make it.
Well, there you go. It's all smoke and mirrors as well. That's what I say too. Well, listen, Cass, thank you so much for sharing your story. What an amazing story it is too. You're very, very inspiring, and I think there will be a lot of people out there who've been, thinking about food products that this interview will really make a difference to them. So I really appreciate you spending the time. If anyone wanted to, well, I know that your products are in all the stores. What's the best way for them to find it? What's your web address?
twistedhealthytreats.com.au.
Nice and easy. Well, look, thank you so much. For those of you who've been watching, if you like this interview, please go and subscribe to the channel and make comments. Let us know what you think about it. In the meantime, She's the Boss has also got a podcast, She's the Boss Chats, which is on practically every platform, and I'm interviewing also amazing women on the podcast. There are 2 episodes coming out every week. We also, through she'stheboss.com.au, run regular lunches for female founders and have a bit of a membership group under She's the Boss. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you'll come back and watch more.